Today we're going to begin construction 5, in which we will construct a perpendicular bisector to segment AB. If you read your directions, number 1 says to place your compass on point A and stretch the radius of your compass beyond the middle of AB, segment AB, and then swing an arc, good size arc, right through segment AB. Now, keeping your radius the same, go and put the center of your compass on point B and make another arc. I don't know if you remember from the last time we did constructions, we called this the petal. Like it looks like a flower petal. We call this the petal construction. And we put a point here and a point here, and we simply marked the center of AB. But this time, instead of just marking the center of AB, I'm going to draw a line through these 2 points that I've created. And I'm going to, these points of intersection, call that line L. And line L, as we know, bisects segment AB. So that if we call this point M, we know that AM is equal to the length of MB, or segment AM is congruent to segment MB. But there's something else we know. We know that line L is perpendicular to segment AB, which means it forms four 90-degree angles, one in each corner of this intersection. So that's construction 5. We'll go right on to construction 6. And these constructions, the first 3 constructions we're doing today, all deal with drawing a perpendicular. Now, in the first one, we did a perpendicular to the middle of a segment, to the midpoint of a segment. All right. And in this one, we also have a segment or even a line. It doesn't matter. But what we want to do is draw a perpendicular right to this point P, right, to a point P. So put a nice dot at P, and we're going to show you how to draw a perpendicular to that point P. And again, take your compass this time and put it right on the point P. And adjust the radius so that when you draw an arc on this side of P and all the way over on the other side, that it will intersect the line, and we'll call this line L. It will intersect line L in 2 places. And let's call these 2 points A and B. And now again, what we want to do is from A, you don't have to do the full petal, you really don't, but you can. You could do the petal construction, or you could just intersect at the top, intersect 2 arcs at the top above the line or below the line, or above and below the line. It really doesn't matter. But let's keep it simple. Let's do the petal again from these points A and B that we just determined. And then again, we're going to connect the intersection of those 2 arcs. And you'll see it goes right through point P, right through point P, whoops, and it is going to be perpendicular to line L at point P. That's what's happening here. Right. It's also bisecting the segment AB, but we're not even really concerned about that. All right, number 7. Now we're going to put a point P that's not on the line. And we're going to construct a perpendicular to the line or to the segment. It doesn't really matter. All right. What you call it, just make sure it's one or the other, to line L. And from this point P, so it's going to have to be, we can't say where it's going to hit until we make our perpendicular. So the first thing I like to do with this is, we have to do with this, is to put the trimen on point P, and I like to say we're making a smile in the line. Just make a smile so that it intersects the line in two places. Okay. And now, from that smile, we're just going to make a small arc below the smile. We'll call this the goatee, or the right on the chin. Okay. And where those two arcs intersect, we're going to put another point. We'll call this point Q. And if we draw line PQ, we can be sure, if this has been done carefully, that line PQ is perpendicular to line L. So from point P, we've drawn a perpendicular to line L. Right. And finally, construction 8 is not about perpendicular, it's about parallel. And parallel, it's going to have us draw a line parallel to a given line through a point that's not on the line. So again, here's our line L. Draw that. And we're going to put a point R that's not on the line. And the first thing we're going to do, because we know parallel lines, we have two parallel lines, is we're going to draw a transversal. We know our line's going to be up here somewhere, but we don't know exactly how it's going to be drawn, but we do know a transversal would look something like this from the line L through point R. Okay. And when we draw that transversal, we create an angle down here. We'll call this angle 1. Right? And this angle, if we can copy the size of this angle exactly and put it over here, let me just if we can put it over here, then we know we'd have two corresponding angles that were congruent. Therefore, the line that made the other side of that angle would be parallel to line L. And so that's exactly what we're going to do. And we've already done the copying the size of an angle construction. So let's go through that again. We're going to place the trimen right here. We'll call this point Q, where our transversal intersects line L. And we're going to make an arc going through both sides of that angle 1. And keeping our measurement, same as it was there, we're going to make an arc up here where we want to make our clone, our angle clone, or our copy of our angle. Okay. And now what we do is from here to here, we use the radius of our trimen to measure that distance. Adjust it so it's just right. Make sure you do a check to make sure it's going right through that point. And then we come over here and we do the same thing again. Now we have a point here. You can see the line connects the vertex of the angle to that point. We need to draw a line here from point R through this point, and that should be just parallel to line L. And I think we did a pretty good job. I hope yours came out well as well. And angle 1, we'll call this angle 2. Angle 1 is congruent to angle 2, so that we know that our new line, we'll call this line T. Okay. We know that line T is parallel to line L because if corresponding angles are congruent, then lines are parallel. Okay, so we used our theorem and we were able to construct a parallel line. And that's the end of this lesson.